It's just after 4 a.m. in a quiet Georgia suburb. Most of the neighborhood is asleep, but at one home in Conyers, the silence is broken by the sound of footsteps and then gunfire. 3 masked teenagers approach a home, guns in hand. Within minutes, all 3 are fatally shot. This story isn't just about what happened that night. It's about choices, law, and the tragic consequences that ripple through families and communities. Was it a clear case of self-defense, or a tragedy that could have been avoided? Let's break it down. Conyers, Georgia, about 25 miles east of Atlanta. A quiet town where people know their neighbors and crime rates are relatively low compared to the city. On White Oak Court, September 16, 2019, around 4 in the morning, the homeowner, an adult woman, and another person were outside in the yard. What they didn't know was that 3 teenagers, 2 brothers, both 16, and their 15-year-old friend, were walking toward them, masked and armed. Investigators later said the boys were planning a robbery. The teens were later identified as Isaiah Reed, 16, Jamie Hernandez, 15, and another 16-year-old whose name wasn't initially released. They wore masks and carried at least 2 guns. Whether they were pressured, reckless, or simply unaware of the danger they were putting themselves in, we may never know. But what we do know is this: when they stepped onto that property, their actions set into motion a chain of events that could not be reversed. According to deputies, the confrontation began almost immediately. One of the masked teens pulled out a handgun and fired at the residents. The homeowner reacted instantly, pulling his own weapon and firing back. Neighbors reported hearing rapid, alternating shots. One described it as beginning with the crack of a handgun, then escalating into what sounded like bursts from a rifle. The firefight was brief, just seconds long, but its impact was devastating. 1 teen collapsed in the yard and died at the scene. The other 2 were critically injured, rushed to the hospital, and pronounced dead hours later. Deputies from the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office arrived quickly. They found a chaotic scene: 3 wounded suspects, residents shaken but alive, and 2 guns on the ground. Sheriff Eric Levitt later briefed the media, saying the evidence strongly suggested self-defense. No residents were harmed in the incident. The names of the teens were released to the public, and their families were devastated. Isaiah Reed and Jamie Hernandez were remembered as brothers and friends, kids who had made a terrible choice. Community members were divided. Some said, they were just kids who messed up. Others argued, they pulled a gun and fired first. What else could the homeowner do? For the families, grief and anger mixed. For the homeowner, survival carried the weight of taking 3 young lives. The legal question quickly arose. Was this a stand-your-ground case? Georgia law allows residents to use deadly force if they reasonably believe their life is in danger. In this situation, masked teens had fired first, so investigators determined it was clear self-defense. Some experts argued that calling it a stand-your-ground case was misleading. This wasn't about refusing to retreat. It was about being under direct attack. In the end, no charges were filed against the homeowner. The case left Conyers shaken. Neighbors who knew the homeowner said he was a quiet man who had never looked for trouble. Others pointed to the tragedy of 3 young lives lost before adulthood. Could mentors, schools, or families have stopped them from heading down this path? The story became more than just crime and law. It became a cautionary tale about decisions, consequences, and how quickly life can change. In just a few seconds, a robbery turned into a shootout, and 3 teenagers never came home. The homeowner defended his life, but will carry the memory forever. The Conyers triple shooting is one of those cases that forces us to ask hard questions about crime, parenting, community, and the laws that govern self-defense. So what do you think? Was this purely self-defense, or a heartbreaking tragedy that could have been prevented long before that night? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So what do you think? Was this purely self-defense, or the start of something bigger we still don't fully understand. And if you want more deep dives into real stories like this, make sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe for more.